Welcome back to HHSTV coverage of the Democratic National Convention. What follows is my interview with Hillary Clinton delegate Josh Hughes from Iowa, July 23, 2016. Josh is a current member of the College Democrats of America and is a member of his school board in his home district. I'm here with Hillary Clinton delegate Josh Hughes. Mr. Hughes, thank you for joining me today.
Yes.
So first, I'd like you to tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in politics?
So I've been involved in politics for probably close to 4 years now. One of the first forays I got into was President Obama's re-election campaign in 2012 back in Iowa. And ever since then, I've been involved in various campaigning, working for different candidates, interning for different parties and caucus staffs, and then finally working with the Hillary Clinton campaign through the state convention process, district conventions, and now national convention.
So have you ever been a delegate before?
No. This is the first time, the caucus was the first time I was ever able to participate, the Iowa caucus, in a presidential primary nominating contest. And so this is my first convention, first, national, district, state, all of that, conventions, for my first time with all of that.
So why Hillary Clinton? Why not Bernie Sanders? Why not Donald Trump?
So I'm with her because when it comes to the qualifications and the mechanics of being president of the United States, Hillary Clinton stands head and shoulders above any person who has ever ran for the presidency, let alone any person who is running for presidency this year. We need a president who has steady hands on the wheels and the gears of power in the world that we live in today. And that president is undoubtedly Hillary Clinton. She has the experience in dealing with foreign nations as Secretary of State, in working as an executive throughout her time in the White House, and then as Secretary of State as well. And it's also as legislatively while she was a senator from New York. And so when it comes to experience, nobody can beat Hillary Clinton when it comes to resume. Furthermore, I believe that she has the temperament to be president, whereas Donald Trump is temperamentally unfit to be president. And so I'm with her because there's no other choice, and we have to protect the progress of the past, not only 8 years, but of the last 80 years in this country.
Do certain mistakes in the Clinton background make you think twice? For example, Libya or Benghazi, in the scandal, or any other problems that people have been saying Secretary Clinton has had with foreign policy?
So when it comes to the Clintons, there is a long history of scandals, and I firmly believe that it is a literal vast right-wing conspiracy to throw up smoke and assume that, and so that the voters assume that there's fire. Benghazi was a tragedy. It was not a scandal. 4 Americans died at an embassy attack by terrorism. And so it's hard to lay that at the feet of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And to me, it's politically motivated and politically calculating to do so.
So as for the issues, what would you say is the most important issue that people from Iowa face?
Well, Iowans have, we have had a stronger economy, and our economy has rebounded faster than the national economy. Our unemployment rate is a little bit lower, and it has been for a while. And so life is generally good in Iowa economically, but we're facing very large challenges in other respects of the word. I serve on my local school board, and so one of the challenges that I'm particularly concerned about is the concerning underfunding, chronic underfunding of public schools in my state. And because of that, Hillary Clinton's education platform, as well as her endorsements by the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers, really swayed me to her as well, and it's convinced me that she is the right leader for this time.
What do you think is the most important issue that Americans in general face?
Americans, we have a lot of challenges this cycle and this year, and I think that you can lay it at the feet of economic hard times, whether it's at our economy changing from a manufacturing and post-manufacturing economy to something new, something different, and that's causing stress. there is an increased threat of terror in the world. I think that the biggest challenge that we as a country face is unity, and we're missing a sense of national unity and around an issue or just a common purpose. And so I think that I believe that as a country we're stronger together, and that's why I think that Hillary Clinton is the right leader for us in 2016.
Did you play any role in adopting the Democratic platform?
I was not involved in platform committee, and so the only involvement that I've had with the Democratic platform at any level has been simply voting to pass or reject resolutions, and then ultimate passage of the final platform at state, district, and county convention. And so I haven't had a lot of interference. I guess I haven't been active with that.
Now, Democrats have been saying that this platform is the most liberal in Democratic history.
Right.
Do you think that it's too liberal, that it might deter moderate voters?
No, and I say that because platforms don't matter. And that's why I haven't been involved with the party platform process, because frankly it does not matter. Because, as I have said, Hillary Clinton has her own set of issues, and she is not bound by the Democratic Party platform, just the same way that United States House candidate in my state, in Iowa, is not bound by the platform of their body. Platforms are a good way for district-level activists and local grassroots activists like myself to bring attention to issues that they feel passionately about, but I don't really believe in the transformative change agent value of a party platform. So I have not been involved, and I don't think it's going to deter voters, because it doesn't matter.
Do you think that Senator Sanders has pushed Hillary Clinton left during this campaign?
Oh, absolutely. And it's been good. It's caused her, having such a vigorous primary challenge, especially from the left, has been good for Hillary Clinton, as it would have been good for Bernie Sanders if he were the nominee, to have to fight and fight hard for every vote. And so I believe that it certainly pushed her to the left, and it required her to fine-tune her appeal to voters. And that's something that we're seeing the effects of play out, and it's for the best, I believe, too.
So, do you think that Hillary Clinton moving to the left might make her less appealing to moderate voters?
That's certainly possible. But I think one of the things that the campaign has done a very good job at is identifying its progressive message and communicating its progressive voice in terms that make it accessible to everyday Americans on all sides of the political spectrum. And certainly facing an opponent like Donald Trump opens up possibilities for her, especially when you talk about running mates, when you consider her platform and her policies. She's going to have, when she wins the presidency this November, she's going to have a mandate to govern. And so she's going to be able to accomplish a lot with that mandate.
If Senator Sanders had been the nominee, would you have supported him?
Absolutely, yeah. I have a lot of respect for the process in all of its flaws, and there are many flaws, especially with caucuses and closed primaries, but I do respect the process that was ran this cycle, and if he had won, I would have been the first to sign up after the last primaries.
What were your thoughts on the RNC in Cleveland just finishing up this week?
Well, I didn't watch a whole lot of it because I care about my well-being, and so it was proof that the Republican Party has become the party of Donald Trump, and we saw that firsthand at the Cleveland convention. Whether it's Donald Trump himself, Senate candidates around the country, just rank-and-file House members, they have adopted the most conservative platform, which I believe does not matter. But their principles are the most conservative in our nation's history, and they are harmful to American families. And Republicans at all levels of the ticket have shown, frankly, a lack of spine for not standing up to Donald Trump and his bigotry and bluster. And so my thoughts on the Republican convention in Cleveland is that it set up the Democratic National Convention for a very strong contrast when we show and we share with the American people our values and our message for helping American families get ahead.
Do you think that Donald Trump balancing his ticket with Mike Pence is going to help him or hurt him in the general election?
He balanced one type of crazy with another. And so Donald Trump's ethno-nationalism is now balanced by a far-right religious fanatic. Donald Trump believes Muslims should not be allowed into this country. Mike Pence doesn't believe gay people should be allowed to get married. Donald Trump has called women he doesn't like fat pigs and bimbo. Mike Pence has closed Planned Parenthood clinics all over the state of Indiana. So it really is a match made in heaven. They are a good fit for each other because they are both incredibly damaging. And so I believe that once Americans learn about the legislative record of Mike Pence while he was in the House of Representatives and as governor of Indiana, the choice will become even clearer.
Now, when you compare Donald Trump to Hillary Clinton on key issues, what do you think is the most important issue that shows their difference?
The most important difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump is definitely national security. When it comes to issues of national security, Hillary Clinton has an unprecedented record, and she's got the most experience. Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State for 4 years and led the United States back to a restoration of our reputation around the world. During the Bush years, we lost a lot of our good name around the world, and she was instrumental in making sure that came back. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has suggested that nations like Japan and Saudi Arabia ought to have more nuclear weapons. He has praised dictators like Kim Jong-un. And so when it comes to national security, there is really no one more prepared to take the wheel and steer our country into safety than Hillary Clinton, especially when compared to Donald Trump. He just doesn't know what he's doing, and it's dangerous.
Are you worried for the general election that 59% of American voters view Hillary Clinton unfavorably?
So once the election, after next week, the convention will be over and it will be officially full-out general election mode. That's when it starts. And I am concerned that, long-standing beliefs and views of Hillary Clinton could be detrimental in this election. But what I also know is that Hillary Clinton is the only candidate running for president that is out there every day talking to voters, and she is the only one that is putting forth a platform that's actually going to help people. And so as we go towards this election in November, the pitch that we're going to be hearing from the Clinton campaign and the pitch that we're going to be hearing from surrogates and the Democratic Party is to look at the records and look at the policies. Because when we look at policies, we'll see that even if you can't agree with Hillary Clinton, you know that she has a plan and you know that she is prepared to be president. But even people that do agree with Donald Trump will admit that he does not have the experience necessary to become president. And so that's going to be where we see a lot of the dividing lines in this election, on the records.
Now, do you think that record issue could actually hurt Hillary Clinton as people are fed up with establishment?
That's certainly a possibility, and there's always a risk of people believing that their vote doesn't matter and voting to throw them all out. But voting is a very important task, and so I would caution against just voting out establishment types, especially when you do look at the issues, and you'll see, when you look at issues, you see that one candidate has a proven history of fighting for families and fighting for children, and one candidate has a proven history of doing the opposite. Donald Trump was excited when the housing market crashed because he had an opportunity to make money on families getting kicked out of their homes. Comments like those prove that Donald Trump does not care about people in the middle class. He does not care about anybody except for other rich people like himself. And he's not ready to stand up and fight for families and families like mine.
Now, do you think that Hillary Clinton touting her experience might hurt her for another reason, in that she's occasionally changed positions, for example, Keystone Pipeline,
Right.
or even gay marriage?
Right. I don't believe so, especially when we consider we're going into a general election mode where Hillary Clinton is going to have an incredible opportunity to make inroads into voters that have traditionally been Republican, specifically suburban moderate voters, particularly women. And so when you talk about the scope of a general election, a Democratic primary is over here on the left, and a general election is more in the middle, and that's where Hillary Clinton is, and that's where she will govern from. It's from the center. And so I don't think that her changing on issues is necessarily going to be a hindrance, because everybody changes their ideas, especially if you're in the public eye for more than 40 years.
When people say Hillary is just going to be 4 more years of Obama, do you think that that is something that Hillary should be proud of, or something that Hillary should try to change that idea?
Absolutely, she should be proud of it. Over the past 8 years of President Obama, over 10 million people have gotten health care for the first time. The uninsured rate is the lowest it's ever been in American history. We have repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We have passed comprehensive immigration reform through the Senate with support of the president, without the House, so we're making progress there. But the reality is, over the past 8 years, we have made incredible progress in this country, and voters are realizing of that promise, or the progress that we have made. Because President Obama's approval ratings are at highs that they haven't been at since 2012. And so Hillary Clinton would be wise to cast herself as 4 more years of President Obama. But I also believe that she's going to do more than President Obama. For as much as I love the president, some of the shortcomings that he has admitted to is an unwillingness to reach out and wheel and deal legislatively in a way that other presidents have been more adept at. And that's an area where Hillary Clinton really excels, and she'll be very good at that.
What do you hope that Hillary Clinton's legacy will be?
Well, Hillary Clinton's legacy after she wins this election will first and foremost be that she is the first woman president of the United States. But I certainly hope that her legacy after 4 or 8 years of governing is a legacy where the United States came together and worked to make real change and meaningful differences for families and for kids and for working people throughout the country. And so I hope that her legacy is that we are able to actually get something done.
Who would you like to see Hillary choose as a running mate?
I want, and this is, they say she's going to pick this afternoon, but we'll see. I want her to choose Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack, and I am very biased because I am from Iowa. He's a former 2-term governor of Iowa. And the logic behind this is that if Tom Vilsack is on the ticket, Hillary Clinton will easily win the state of Iowa. And Iowa is perhaps the state that Obama won in 2012 that is most likely at risk to vote for Trump. We're a swing state, and because of his populist appeal, there is a real danger that he could flip Iowa's 6 electoral votes. And so I want Tom Vilsack to be on the ticket. I also really, really like Tom Vilsack just as a person and what he's done and stood for. But I think he's definitely qualified and ready to be president, if need be, as well.
What do you think are the odds that Hillary Clinton is going to win it this November?
Well, we can't take anything for granted, and that's the important thing, because elections, today there's 538, and everybody has their go-to website of choice to figure out how the election is going or who their best predictor is. But what I think gets lost in all of the noise is that elections are really won on the ground, and they are won by voters. And so, if we are resigned to the fact that Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States, then certainly he will be the next president. And if voters across the country are resigned to the fact that Hillary Clinton is going to be the next president, then certainly she will be. So a lot of it rests on the candidates and the campaigns themselves. So I'm going to be working hard to ensure that Hillary Clinton is the next president, she wins my state, and that she wins the presidency. And I like our chances.
Should Jill Stein or Gary Johnson be a concern to Clinton or Trump?
Well, third-party candidates are always in the mix, and it's always interesting because there have been instances where third-party candidates have thrown elections, and most notably in 2000 when Ralph Nader won something like 90,000 votes in Florida as Al Gore lost the state, the tie-breaking state, by like 600 or something like that. So it can be detrimental. And while it would be nice if our electoral system would allow ranked voting or some better system, the reality is it does not. And I guess there is a concern that disaffected Republicans will vote for Gary Johnson, or disaffected liberals and Democrats will vote for Jill Stein. But The reality is we do need to not rally behind the party's nominee, especially as Democrats and liberals, and understand that a vote for anybody but Hillary Clinton is a vote for Donald Trump. And while there are concerns about, people voting, they have to vote their conscience, and you should vote your conscience. But to me, it's always a question of which is a greater moral dilemma. And to me, so which is a greater moral dilemma, voting for Hillary Clinton or being complicit in the creation and coming about of a Donald Trump presidency? And when you put those side by side, it's no comparison. I would vote for just about anything before I would ever vote for Donald Trump. And so I am going to do everything I can to make sure that Hillary Clinton wins.
Could you please explain what the CDA is?
Oh, College Democrats, yeah. College Democrats of America is an organization that is run through and run with the Democratic National Committee. It's an official organization. It is the official college wing of the Democratic Party. And so they bring students from across the country together, I believe maybe once every 4 years, but possibly more, I'm not sure, to do an annual convention. And so that's why I'm here in Philadelphia.
Now, this video will hopefully be viewed by high school students.
Yes.
Do you have any closing remarks, especially for them?
Yes. So, high school students, a lot of high schoolers aren't able to vote. Only a few are over 18 while they're in high school. And so, for those that are, certainly vote. Definitely vote. Always vote. But those who won't be 18 have perhaps a chance to make an even greater impact. The first election I got involved in really hard was after President Obama's re-election was the 2014 midterms in Iowa. And so I was not able to vote. I was too young. I think I was 17 in 2014. But I got really involved, and I worked to make a difference, and I worked for candidates that I chose. I volunteered, I door knocked, and phone banked. And because of that, we were able to make a difference, and we made some victories, and we held some seats. And so my advice to those high schoolers that are disaffected because they're not able to vote, or possibly even upset because their candidate of choice did not make it out of the primaries, is to get involved and volunteer, because anybody can volunteer. And then if you're upset or you're not enthusiastic about Hillary Clinton, look around to your local candidates, and look around to statewide candidates and legislative candidates, because more than, I believe it's 92% of Congress is up for re-election in 2016. And hundreds and thousands of state legislative seats across the country are as well. And so there is an incredible opportunity to make a big difference in those elections that are smaller, but ultimately have a much greater impact on our daily lives. So get involved, and certainly look down the ballot as well.
Mr. Hughes, thank you for joining
Yeah,
me today.
of course. It's been a pleasure.